What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We're going to take a look at Avatar Frontiers of Pandora here really quickly on the Legion Go, the Ally, and the Steam Deck. A little bit different video here, as I would normally test each device a little bit differently and get the game performance. Is really just not worth it. With this game, it doesn't run well enough on the handhelds to really recommend playing it locally on the devices. We'll talk about some streaming options towards the end of the video to play it the way I have been here with my few hours of playing the game. But as far as locally, it is pretty rough. Let's start with the Legion Go here, and I've tried every combination of VRAM you can think of. I am on all of the updated BIOS and GPU drivers and that type of thing. We're running 25 watts for both the Go and the Ally, and this is with frame generation off and all the settings as low as we can go at 800p. If I were to raise any settings or the resolution, performance gets even worse here, as we are in the teens and 20s walking around here in the game. And this is just the beginning of the game with nothing going on. We're not flying or riding across the land, or combat or anything where it's going to get even worse. Now, we can activate frame generation in this if we want to, and we can change our scaling quality, but we don't gain anything there. Frame generation instantly adds a ton of input lag in this game, and it makes everything very stuttery and janky to play. It feels worse doubling the frame rate here with frame gen than it does just not having it on at all. The input latency is quite bad and quite noticeable. Even though the Go has those dead zone issues still, the Ally does it as well. It's not that. It has horrible input latency with frame gen on here, and coming from such low frames to begin with, it's not necessarily that surprising. But performance here is obviously, as you're looking at it here, very rough with or without frame generation. But if you were going to attempt it at all, I would probably recommend keeping that off, because it isn't as bad as far as the input latency and the stuttering. But of course, you're playing in the teens and 20s. It's really not a viable experience on the handhelds. Now, let's go over to the Ally and we'll look at the same area here. Frame generation off, we're going to get the same kind of performance in the teens and 20s here. It's not surprising. We have very, very similar hardware in these two devices, minus the RAM speed and a couple of other things. But it's just not, again, a great experience. This is at 720p, by the way, versus the 800p that we were on over on the Legion Go, running the same 25 watts here. Again, I used all the different RAM combinations, VRAM and things you can use. I happen to have them both at 4 here for the video, but I've tried all different combinations to see what would happen. Turning frame gen on again here is going to help with the Ally. It's going to boost the frame rate a little bit for us, just like over on the Go, but it again feels pretty horrible. The added input latency, the additional stuttering and issues that the system has with the game, it's just not worth it. If you were going to attempt it at all, again, I would keep frame generation off probably, as it really just doesn't help the experience for Avatar. It's really a shame, because I've been playing the game on Xbox Series X and on my PC and through GeForce NOW and some remote play and stuff like that. And my few hours in, I actually am having a lot of fun with the game. I am a fan of the Avatar movies and the world. So exploring Pandora and all that has actually been kind of fun here in the beginning. But if you're looking to play it strictly on the handhelds, be it the Go or the Ally, and here we'll take a look at the deck as well, it's just really not a recommended experience. All right, let's go ahead and move over to the Steam Deck real quick, and we'll talk about that experience. So for the Steam Deck, I could get the game to launch just fine, but I was only able to get into a game a couple of times. It hard locks or freezes up the Steam Deck, and I wind up having to reset it manually every time. I've only had it boot in like 2 times to try the game out. Performance was pretty bad, kind of similar to the low teens of the Ally. But it would just freeze up or crash after a minute or two anyways. And all the rest of the times while I was recording, I just could never get into a benchmark or a save game or a new game or anything. I've tried all the VRAM options, Proton options, all of that, and could never really get it to work. The only viable option I got to play this game on the Steam Deck or on any of the other handhelds is to remote play, be it my Xbox Series X, my PS5, or my PC, or GeForce Now through the cloud. But remote play works really well for me, and I have new videos coming for this as well. And I put one up for the PS5 not long ago. I have one coming for the Xbox as well. But this works really well. I get pretty much 60 FPS. We're streaming at 1080p, and on my home network, I don't really have a lot of latency or issues. I'll tell you what, it feels much more responsive and snappy than what I'm getting locally on the Ally or the Go, and of course the deck if I could get it to launch. So I can definitely play this way. I've played a couple of hours with a remote play, and it's been a good experience at home on my home network, though you don't have to be on your home network for it to work. Now, GeForce Now is another great option if you don't have a console or PC that could stream this to one of your handhelds, as you know, it's coming from the cloud. And GeForce Now has a free option, a $10 a month option, and a $20 a month option, this being the 4080 tier right here at $20 a month. I can run the game at full maxed out graphics here, 60 FPS on my stream, nice and clean. And I've also put a good bit of time in here this way on the handhelds, and it works really well also. So if you're going to play Avatar at all on your deck, your Ally, your Go, you want to take the game with you or play around the house, it's really going to be remote play or cloud's the best way to go. Playing locally, at least for now, isn't really a great option. All right, guys. Different kind of video, but I at least wanted to cover the game and talk about its performance and show you guys what's going on currently for Avatar. All right, guys, thanks a lot for coming and check out the video. As always, I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.